guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah and I know I'm late. It's been a hot minute since I talked about the Sandman, and this video is going to be a little different. I'm actually going to talk about episode 6 all the way through 11. I don't think it's going to be like 30 minutes. Well, it might be 30 minutes. I know it's not going to be an hour. But I just want to talk about things that I thought were interesting. So let's get into it. Okay, so what's up, you guys? So I know I'm late. Like I said, I know I'm late. But I watched episodes 6 through 10 with a group of my friends. They came over and we ended up watching it. And like, I just was enjoying the show. I just didn't feel the need to take notes. And with the way things are going right now, I don't really have time to rewatch the all 11 episodes because there's 11 episodes. The last episode was weird to me. It was just weird to me. I didn't understand why they just couldn't feed that in, the whole cartoon portion, and then it switched. It ain't make sense to me, y'all. But why don't we get that out the way? We'll talk episode 11 because I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts pretty much. That's all I'm going to be doing is talking about my thoughts because I feel like if I go episode by episode, this video is going to be like 2 hours long like I normally do it. So I'm just going to talk about my thoughts. We end up meeting a young woman named Calypso, who turns out she is a muse. She's 1 out of 9 muses, and she's Dream's ex-wife. That's what we find out. Dream just got girls. She got the girl. He got the girl in hell, and then he got her. And what unfortunately happened to her is she got captured just like Dream. And she was held captive for 60 years. She is immortal because she is a muse. And I think they said like her father, I hit the Google to understand more. Her father would be Zeus. So Zeus is a god. So she's an immortal being. But she got captured by this man named, I think it's Emerus Fry, who captured her and like burned this, like, I guess her... burn something of hers that made it like a binding contract where he could hold on to her. So for like 60 years, she was held captive by him and made him basically a famous author. Because she is a muse, she inspired him to create his work. Then it came a point where even she couldn't really help him out anymore. So when he felt like he had no use for her, he sold her to this other guy named Richard Murdoch. And she was just like, good Lord. Like, she just wanted to be free. She called on Dream, since Dream is like her ex-husband and he's an endless, but she was told by the fates, the fates that she called upon, that Dream was also held captive too. So sis, y'all both locked up. He can't help you. But she then ended up finding out that he got free like 4 years ago, and she called on him again, but I think Richard found it out about it, and he like stopped it from happening or stopped her from getting in contact with him. But Dream caught the call. Richard more so was like in love with her. It seemed like he was trying to like buy her affection with like gifts and things of that nature. But she was like, bro, I'm like 1,000 years old. Anything you give me. And the fact that you bought me, like, bro, this is slavery. I don't want you. But she sees like Dream comes to her rescue. He basically is like, I'm gonna get you free, and I'm also gonna punish Richard for like keeping you captive for even though 4 years. Although I'm like, you should have went for Emerus because he kept her captive for 60. I mean, I get it, 4 years is a long time too, but 60 is a lot longer. So Dream messes up his mental like he did Alex. Was his name Alex? Yeah, the kid on the first episode, like, messed his mental up, and then he set Calypso free. But what we end up finding out that I thought was juicy was that him and Calypso got a baby, or had a baby. The baby died. I want to know more about that in season 2, if they get a season 2. His name was Orpheus. I was like, y'all couldn't come up with a better name. You got Dream's name is Orpheus, but she was wondering, like, do you still like hate me for like leaving you? So I guess like she left him, and he was like, nah. But she was like, can we talk about our son? And he was just like, I ain't ready for all of that. Pump your brakes. I wonder how long Orpheus has been dead, though. Because that's my thing. If it's been like hundreds of years and you're not ready to talk about, but maybe time moves differently for endlesses and like gods and supernatural beings. But I'm just like, bro, if Orpheus has been dead for like 200 or 500 years, talk to that lady about her son so y'all can get clarity and heal from that. I was just a mess. But I was like, you really procreated with him? No. Because I don't know. Dream doesn't give me procreation. He gives me like we trying to be that couple that don't need kids. Cause I don't know if I would have won a married Dream. But that was episode like 11 wrapped up. So then let's get into everything else. I think I'm gonna talk about Rose, Unity, and Judd. So we open up to one of the to I don't know which episode, like y'all, they're all blending together. That's why I'm talking about it like this, because it's all blending together. So it starts off where we find out that Dream's room is coming back together. Like Dream is all powerful now, so his room is slowly coming back together. We found out that three of his beings are missing. I think it was Finland Green, Corinthian, because he ain't gonna be captured, and then I think it's Galdrick I cannot say this word. Not Galactic. I was about to say Galactic. She did look like Galactic with like the way she looked was very beautiful. I think it's Gullet. I'm gonna call her Gullet. Y'all know I'm horrible with names. But those three beings that Dream created himself are missing. So then we go and we meet Rose, Judd, and Unity. So Unity, we remember from the beginning of episode 1, where she went to sleep once Dream was captured and she never woke up. And once Dream was set free, Unity actually woke up, but she was a far older woman. Like clearly she looked like she was like in her like 50s, maybe 60s, but she lived like this wonderful life in the dream world, like with her golden-eyed man. And she kept saying golden-eyed man, but she ain't know the man's name. So I was just like, girl, what was you doing for all them years? But she thought she was living. She just thought she was living, and when she woke up, she realized that like the world in which she thought she was living in was not what it was. Like we find out that like her parents have passed on, because clearly, and as well as that, she is like the heir to like this sugar, I think it was like a sugar company that makes sugar around the world, like selling packets like Sweet and Low and stuff. And so she's loaded, but now she was like tasked with like trying to see if anybody was out there. We find out that her and the golden-eyed man had a child, which I was like, girl, I don't know. I know they had a time in that hospital, because everybody probably was like, somebody done did something to this girl while she was asleep. Because how you have a baby while you're asleep? Wow. How? But her and the golden-eyed man had a child, and the child's name is Miranda, who is Judd and Rose's mother. And so we end up finding out that Judd and Rose were Miranda's kids. Unfortunately, when we're introduced to Judd and Rose, they're being separated. The mom and dad, Miranda and her husband are having a divorce. The dad's a complete asshole because he is breaking up the siblings, where the dad is taking Judd and Miranda is taking Rose, who is the oldest sister, and Judd was like a little kid. When we finally see Rose in present day, she's like 21 or 22, and her mom has passed on, and she's using like the insurance money and her inheritance to find her brother, because at this point she don't have nobody else, because the father didn't stay in contact. We find out that Judd and the dad had been moving around a lot, and the dad had made it extremely hard and difficult for Rose and her mom to ever have a relationship with him. So now she's using her resources to like find him. We then meet Rose's friend Lydia, or is it Latha? I'm gonna call her Lydia. Y'all know who I'm talking about if you've seen it. We meet her, I think it's Latha. No, it's Latha. Let me not call her Lydia. Latha. And both Latha and Rose have like dealt with death. Like Latha's husband died. He was an architecture person, and Rose's mom has passed away. But Latha is going with Rose to England so they can meet this person who wants to contract Rose to like write this story or give a speech about her experience in her childhood, because Rose is like a aspiring author. When they get there, they meet Unity. So it turns out that Unity is Rose's grandmother. Like I said, because Unity had Miranda. So because they're loaded, because Unity's family out here giving us the sugar we need, Unity says, I will help you find your brother. Because at the time when Rose was going to England with Latha, they were just like, she was strapped for cash. She had pretty much depleted her mom's resources that she gave her trying to find her brother. So they end up in like, I think Florida. No, they were in Georgia. Was it Georgia? No, I think Judd was in Georgia and she was like in Florida because that was their last like known area where they were living. And they were her, Latha, and like the owners of like this bed and breakfast were all gonna help her. We end up meeting like a cast of like random characters, Ken and Barbie, these two sisters, like they're not sisters, but they're friends. They're like gothic twins. We meet the owner of the bed and breakfast who is like a drag queen. And he's real cool. I think that was it. And they're all at the bed and breakfast while Rose is out here looking for her brother. We end up finding out Judge got the short end of the stick and was adopted by supposedly friends of the father. But I was like, were they really friends of his father? And if so, his father's trash because the father because they kept saying Judd was given to the friends of the father when the father died, which was Barney and Clarissa, or I think it's Clarissa, which Barney was an abusive dick and was like beating on a little boy, not feeding him, just abusing him because he wanted the $800 that they got for childcare for housing him from the government. So at first the social worker was acting like she didn't want to help them, but then Rose tried to like tell her like, girl, it's just me and my brother. But I have to give credit to the social worker when the social worker was like, what if he is at a good home and you're telling him like you want to take him away from a good home? Like, do you have a job? You're only 21, 22. Like, what can you do for him? You don't have anything stable. And I mean, the social worker was correct, but it's like also, she doesn't have anybody else. Why is it wrong for her to seek out her brother? Maybe she could have built a relationship with them. But the messed up part is that he wasn't in a good home. They was beating on the little boy. Just beating on him. Beating on the baby. Beating on the baby. But we then get to Dream and his attitude. Dream got an attitude. So like I said, Dream and his attitude. We finally get introduced to Death, and that's the one person I really wanted to see, or the being I wanted to see, because I just loved her aesthetic. And Dream is just, he's feeling apathetic. He's like, okay, I got my revenge on the people who harmed me. I got back my helmet, my ruby, my sand, but why am I not satisfied with hurting the people that hurt me? And that's normally how vengeance works, or revenge works. It never really makes you whole. Never really does. And so we see Death pop up. And she's talking to Dream. Now, she pissed me off when she tried to play my boy. When she was just like, why you got such an attitude? Girl, he was in prison for 100 years and all of his siblings knew. All of his siblings knew. All of them knew. And then we find out that one of the siblings set him up. So, like, it's like, of course he would be upset. Of course he would be upset. And then it was just like when Dream tells Death, like, girl, they was trying to capture you, but they captured me. She's like, I know. I'm like, you know, and you ain't come and get him? You knew it. You did not come and get him. Girl, let me be mad. I'd have told her, let me be mad. But I just thought it was interesting watching Death do her job, because we see her ushering people into death. Like, you got the one that took me out was that baby, because I just felt like the anticipation of when the mom came back and the baby was dead, and I was just like, oh, please I don't want to hear that lady scream, because that's gonna stick with me. And it was crazy when she was talking to the baby, and she was like, I know, you just got here, I get it. And the baby looking at her like, girl, I just got here. Why you taking me now? Like, I really got to leave now? We see her usher this Jewish guy, an elderly Jewish man. He was like playing the violin, you know, and he said the prayer to his to where he was supposed to go. We see her do the soccer player that ended up getting hit by a car, and I felt bad for him because he was hitting on her because she was very pretty, and he was like, can I get your number, like, so I can see you again? And she was like, you'll see me soon. I said, oh my god, he about to die. We see the guy that drowned to death, and I felt so bad when he was like, just let me tell my wife everything, like, we're here on our honeymoon. And I was like, girl, not the honeymoon. And he was like, I have all our tickets, everything, just let me, you know. And my friend who I was watching one of my friends I was watching the show with, he has read he used to read the comics of the Sandman. So he was like telling me things as the episode was going on, which I appreciate him for that. And he was saying that there's something about death that allows people to take it a lot easier than you would think. Like they had one scene where the dude got shot and he was like shook and he was like, oh no, and then he kind of just accepted it. And he was telling me like there's something about her that like calms people's spirits, and she has some type of effect on people that they just kind of accept that it's happening. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's interesting. We then have what's it called? We just had them talking. They just like, it was just a scene, like a brother and a sister talking. Death being worried about Dream's state of mind, and Dream not wanting to worry Death, but also being annoyed with her at the same time. We then have this cool montage of Hobgilden. I think his name is Hob. I'm gonna call him Hob. That's what it says, Hob. Where Dream is like, well, did you meet Hob? And he was like, well, I couldn't do that because I was locked up for 100 years. And so then they do a montage where we meet Hob, and it's like, I think the 16th century, and it's like medieval times. People are, and they did Dream wrong with them wigs. Like every time we jumped 100 years, the wig just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I was like, who on the makeup and hair department is styling these ugly cheap wigs? I was like, I know y'all could get a better wig than that. I know Netflix gave y'all a budget. But we in there we have Hobgoblin, or not Hobgoblin, Hob, or maybe it is Hobgoblin. Because my friend was telling me that Hobgoblin is also, because I remember learning about Hobgoblin like on the Justice League. And my friend was saying that like Hobgoblin does jump in and out of this series, but I don't think that's who that is. I don't think that, because he don't look like a goblin. But Hob was sitting in this tavern, and we see Death and Dream in the tavern, and they're just listening to the humans. Dream is like disgusted, like you can tell he want to like clutch his pearls, like he was like, it's so dirty. And so Hob is talking about how he thinks death is stupid, and that like no one really needs to die. We all just accept dying. So Dream makes a bet with him, and he's like, I'll let you live for 100 years, and you can tell me what you like. You can tell me whether or not you want to live, like you just want to live. And like every 100 years they meet up at this tavern. And each time Dream gets excited, like he thinks Hobgoblin is not Hobgoblin. He thinks Hob is going to be like, yeah, I want to die. But Hob is like, nah, bruh. And what it seems is like Hob gets engrossed with new things every time. Like he doesn't just stay in his ways. He jumps on the newest thing, so that keeps him invested with staying alive every 100 years. So before Dream got caught in got kidnapped, Dream and Hob got into a fight because Hob was basically like, I think you just like meeting up with me because we're friends, even though you don't tell me that much about you or like who you are. We ended up seeing that like Constantine, like one of Joanna's descendants, tried to Dream, and then he made her have a vision of her worst nightmares. But Hob was like, I just think you want to be friends. I just think that's what we are. And it pissed off Dream, because Dream is trying to act like I don't need friendship. Like, you are mistaken. Just being very arrogant and full of himself. And Hob is like, he didn't mean to piss Dream off, but like Hob likes Dream. Hob wants to be friends with Dream. But unfortunately, it was like the 80s, and Hob didn't know that Dream got caught up and was locked up in prison by Roderick, that like he thought Dream would never meet him again. Like he was just like, dang, like I really messed up our friendship. But we then see Dream meet Hob in present day, and they have like a really sweet moment, and I was like, oh, that's cute. So I thought Dream had turned over a new leaf as he was going through throughout the day with Death, as Death was like doing her job escorting people, to, I guess, the Silver City, which I hope they tap on more, because I was like, bro, what is the Silver City? And my friend who was explaining it to me, he was like pointing out the Easter eggs about like certain things in the show, which I appreciate. He was also telling me that like Lucifer really don't like Death because people refer to Death as the angel of death, when she really not the angel of death. But I was like, we did see her have wings. They did a silhouette of her like taking the Jewish guy and flying him up to the air. And I guess she doesn't get to pick whether you go to heaven or hell or wherever, whatever you believe in, which is the afterlife. She's just, I guess, the guide to take you there. So I think that's what Silver City is, because I was like, I don't think Silver City is heaven, because, in Christian teachings, heaven is paid, is the city of gold, and it's paid in gold. So I was just like, maybe that's not what it is. Maybe that's not what, maybe it's like the limbo area, and then you go where you need to go. But I thought he was gonna change over a new leaf, cause like Def seemed to be really happy when he met Hob, but then we see Def and Lucien have a fight because Dream is like, I like feeling some type of way that everybody sees Lucien as like, the head HBIC, because while Def was gone for 100 years, she's the one that really was running, was running the realm. You was locked up for 100 years. What was she supposed to do? So, I mean, at least she didn't leave. Like, because she could have deserted you like everybody else. But she didn't do that, okay? And he just has this... Dream's energy was very much like all in, like, I'm all powerful, which he is, but very, like, demeaning to the people around him, which he had to change your heart by the end of the the end of the season. But Lucien and him get into it. He basically tells her, like, girl, you a librarian, I'm the king, like, roll back to your set, girl. And so she go back with an attitude. But as she was doing her senses, we see, I think it was Cain. Was it Cain? No, I think Cain kills Abel. Was it Cain? I'm thinking it was Cain. I think it was Cain. I think Cain, because Cain and Goldie are what's cool. Because I think Abel is the one that be killing Cain. I'm ashamed that I don't know this story, y'all. Give me a moment. Abel. It's Abel. Abel and Goldie. And when Lucien is doing the senses, because everybody, all the dreams are like returning back to the dream realm now that it's going back to normal, Abel tells Lucien, like, girl, on the word on the curve is there's a dream vortex. And Lucien was like, girl, what you mean? As well as Abel was telling her there's something in my basement. And I was like, I didn't get why she didn't, like, want to inspect that. But I digress. But Abel was like, girl, it's like everybody been talking, there's a dream vortex. And what we find out is that Rose is the dream vortex. And subsequently, what a dream vortex is, it is a being that is pretty much on the same level as Dream, if not like stronger than him, and has the ability to make dreams come into reality. And that is what Rose is. Lucien wants to get rid of her. Like, but Dream is just like, nah, like we can see what she do, because Lucien is saying that anytime a dream vortex has entered into the human realm, it's been utter destruction to wherever they go. Like, it's like end of days, end of the world type stuff. But Dream is just like, nah, let's see where it go. Like, let's just see where it go. So we then have Corinthian. So then let's talk about, before I talk about Corinthia, let's talk about these siblings, because my God today, the drama and the trauma is palpable. So like I said, let's talk about these siblings. So I talked about Dream, I talked about Death. Let's talk about despair and desire. So on last episode, which was episode 5, at the end you see a being come up, and that is Desire. I thought it was a woman, but I think the Desire is supposed to be like androgynous in a way. And like I said, you saw them eyes, and them eyes was gold. We find out that Rose, Judd are basically children of the endless. Like the golden eyed man that Unity kept talking about is Desire. Desire caused all of this. Desire was the reason why Nadia, the queen of the ruler of the first people, who that beautiful black lady stuck in hell, was the one that prompted Nadia to double cross or to betray Dream. What's her name? Roderick, like, basically caught Dream off of like what Desire, I guess, prompted him to want to do. So it's like Desire got it out for Dream. And when my friend was explaining to me, because I was just like, I don't understand, like, what's the motive? Is it? And my friend was basically like, Dream's attitude towards Desire is very much kind of like, I'm up here and you're down here. And both Desire and Despair, they're technically twins because they came out at the same time. But I think I read somewhere that Despair used to be called Delirium. But I feel like Delirium and Despair could be interchangeable depending on what side of Delirium you stand on, you know. Because Delirium, delirious, out your mind. Despair. But they're twins. And what my friend was explaining to me was that like Dream and Desire kind of have like a battle between each other, because Desire feels like they're technically kind of the same thing, and in a way they could be, because what you desire can be your dream. And like your wildest dreams could be what you desire. So I get it, but Desire just has it out for Dream. Desire's like, I'm a knock him down a couple of pegs. And Despair is technically in on it because they're like twins, but she freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie, she freaked me out, because you know how they all have different like Dream has his helmet and his ruby. I guess Def has the Oris. I think is it the Eye of Horus? I think it's the Eye of Horus. And you got what's it called? Delirium has like this like fish hook and like ring, and she is like comforting herself as she drags it across her cheek. But as she's doing it, it's like healing itself, but it's giving her relief. So like self-harm. And I was just like, it made my back got tense and my skin started crawling. I said, "Ooh, stop. But she said something that like made me be like, oh, because she was like, do you really think it's going to change him? Because that's all we want. So I guess everyone's tired of Dream's attitude. But Dream is like, I can't be stopped. So, like I said, that is possible. Like, and that's the thing. Desire also knew that Unity was supposed to be like the dream vortex. But because Unity was asleep all them times, it went to her granddaughter, which was Rose. So this whole time, all the dreams, like all the beings that live in the dream world have been talking about what's been going on. They're like, bro, there's a dream vortex. I don't know what they gonna do. They need to fix it before it get bad. Like I said, Latha also lost somebody, which is Rose's friend. Because Latha is so close to Rose, her dreams began to come to fruition. She meets her husband in the dream world. They get busy. She ends up pregnant and having a baby. Dream, being the way he is, did not handle the situation correctly, because you see Dream, Rose, Latha, and Hector like at the home that Hector had created in the dream. And he basically tells Hector, you got to go back to the death world, because sis, you messing up my world. Because Dream is there, and because what Hector being there too, it started to cause cracks and like tremors and earthquakes in the dream realm. And Dream is like, you're destroying my home, out of here. But the way he took Hector out was he did too much, because you see Hector like become a mummy and then bones and then fly away. And then Rose gets so angry, she tells Dream to stop, and it like pushes him back. And like he pops out, so it like pushes. So she's a lot more powerful than Dream. My thing is I'm looking at Latha like, you had this baby, because Dream said, I'm coming for your baby, because it is like, it's technically is mine because you made it here. And I'm just kind of like, so is the baby like half ghost, half Dream, half ghost, half human? Either way, I feel like something's gonna happen to that baby if we get a season 2, because it's not supposed to be here. The baby's not supposed to be here. But when Dream did that, it pissed off Rose. And Rose and Dream were trying to create like a relationship, but his attitude, yeah, he messed it up. And it was cute watching him have to eat humble pie and ask for Lucien's help, because Lucien was like, so how you do this? And he was like reading all these books in the dream room, and he was like, do you have this book? And she was like, yeah. And I said, girl, make him suffer. We then find so Dream right now is looking for a Fiddler's Green, Corinthian, and Gullet. I cannot say this thing's name, but Fiddler Greens turns out to be one of the neighbors in the Airbnb or the bread and breakfast named Gilbert. And he's like some British man, but I could clearly tell that he was Fiddler's Green. We ain't meet nobody else. We found out that Fiddler's Green is basically a place in the dream realm, not like a being, but he wanted to be human because he wanted to get to know more about the people that come and visit his place, which it looked like the Garden of Eden, just like beautiful lush greenery with a beautiful waterfall and stuff. Like once he came back to the dream world, we know Corinthian is out there. We found out that Gauntlet was helping Judd. Like basically she took the look of Judd's mother, Miranda, and like when he would have dreams, he would be the Sandman. And my friend let me know that the Sandman that we saw Judd dressed up in costume was actually the first iteration of Sandman, and that the one that we have now was just was the person's own interpretation of Sandman, and that was his way of paying respects to the first representation of Sandman. We found out that Gauntlet is basically a nightmare, but she doesn't want to be a nightmare. She wants to be a dream. And Dream basically tells her, like, that's not your job. Like, that's not your decision. I made you to be a nightmare so people could confront their fears, because she has the ability, like, she's kind of like Mystique. She can morph into, like, people and beings, but she's like, I don't want to be that way. And she kind of checked Dream before Dream basically, like put her into this void of nothingness, like took her out. And she was like, you think everybody came back because they love you? They came back because they were afraid of what you would do if they never came back. And he looking at her like, and so it's just like, it seems like Dream kind of is on the low, a tyrant. Like, as long as you do what he say, he cool. He not gonna mess with you. But in that moment, I was like, bro, you ain't have to do that. She was clearly trying to protect that boy's psyche, helping him go to like a safe place while he dealt with the abuse he was dealing with. So she gone. Dream is still looking for Corinthian and Fiddler's Green. We find out that Corinthian is like this serial killer that everyone loves because he be taking people's eyes out. And these 3 serial killers, which was like this one guy who kills like kids, kills the children. There's this woman who's called this doctor who like she operates on people while they're still awake and like kills them that way. And then there's this like man who like they didn't say how he killed people, but basically if they were having a serial killers convention and they wanted to have Corinthian come, so they just started murdering people and taking out their eyes and like using them as calling cards to get Corinthian to come to their serial killer convention. Corinthian ends up finding where Judd lives because he's like, I need to get to Judd first, which would prompt Rose to come to me because he finds out that Rose is also a dream vortex and he wants to use Rose against Dream because she's more powerful than Dream. And we know she will cause the absolute destructions of the dream world and low-key the real world at some point. So he takes Judd. I was happy he took out both Clarice and Barnaby because she won't helping him, although I know she was abused, but she ain't helped my friend. She ain't helped that little boy. And they end up at the serial killer convention. Judd is like, he's a naive kid thinking that like this is the best thing because he's getting ice cream, he's being treated actually correctly. And then we have this whole melee between Dream and Corinthian trying to use Rose and tell her how to use her powers and get them to act right. Basically, like, they didn't know that they were at a serial killer convention. The best part of that episode is when Gilbert was realizing where they were at. And he was like, oh my, I gotta get these kids out of here. Gotta get these kids out of here. Because he was going into all the Q&A sessions with the different serial killers and realizing like, oh my God, this is a serial killer convention. Judd and Rose see Corinthian kill the guy that likes to kill kids because the guy was about to kill Judd because Judd fit his demographic of kids. And they're all freaking out. Judd tells her, like, sis, this is where you're at. But, like, I just want you to do something for me, which is get rid of Dream so I can keep living my life and killing people and doing what I do. At the end of the episode, Dream finally convinces no, finally has a one-on-one with Corinthian and basically is scolding him like a father, basically saying, I didn't make you to do this. I made you so you can help people confront their fears and have like self-reflection so they could be better in the real world. And because Rose is in the building, she ends like when Corinthian stabs Dream, it actually hurts him. But then she agrees because Dream is basically like, you can make this all right. You can make all of this right, but it's up to you. Because Dream was about to take her out, even though he ain't want to take her out. But he was about to take her out. But then we find out, like I said, that Unity was supposed to be the Dream Vortex. But Desire got in the way of that. And Unity, Rose gives Unity like the dream, like the vortex, and it kills Unity. But Unity is like, it's okay because I've lived my life. I'm happy I got to meet you and at least know that you're out here safe, and you and Judge will have my fortune to live and be free and stuff like that. So it ends there with Corinthian being pretty much decimated by Dream. He gets turned into like this little skull with the teeth eyes and stuff that Dream used to make him. We then see Dream back in the back in the dream room, and he is creating like new dreams and new nightmares. But it was actually really like beautiful. He turned Golic, or whatever her name is, into a she looked the same, but she got butterfly wings because she never looked scary. But he turned her into like a dream, and she was like, what was the change? And he was just like, Dream's like, I learned some things. So just go be free, girl. Go be free. And we then see like everyone kind of had pretty much a happy ending. Like Rose and Jed are living together. Lithia had her baby and she's happy. And then the drag queen guy who was like afraid to go back to New York where Dream and where Rose is from and like perform as a drag queen, he went back, fell in love with Rose's roommate or house sitter, and it just ended there. It pretty much ended there. My final thoughts. Oh, I didn't talk about Lucifer. Girl, they coming for Dream. They is coming for Dream's room. We see Lucifer back in hell, and this horde of like beings, like the Shadow Corporation, are basically telling Lucifer, we ready to go after Dream's world. Like, it ain't gonna get us to where we want to be, which is heaven, but we can surely take his world. And Lucifer is like, I bet, let's go. Let's go. Which I'm interested in seeing, like, why do they want Dream's world? But maybe it's to cause havoc. Or maybe it's to make their... Well, I wonder if it's to, like, you know, expand Hell's territory. But I'm like, how is Dream gonna combat Lucifer? Like, how is he going to go up against her and her army? But... it ends like, well, I'll say it didn't really end there, but like that's where we're headed. Like beef between Lucifer and Dream, that baby, Hector and Lithia's child, or Leta's child, or whatever, and that I'm wondering, where are we going? And then, you know, about Orpheus, you know, him dying, how Dream is coping with his baby dying, his child dying. So yeah, I enjoyed the series. I know this was like all over the place. I know it was all over the place. But like I said, I was just going to be talking about my thoughts. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I hope it gets a season 2. I'm interested in meeting the other siblings because we didn't meet Desire and we didn't meet Destruction. And then I want to know who the prodigal son is, because when my friend was over, I asked him, like, is Destruction the prodigal son? But he was like, no, it's another being. So yeah, like we didn't meet Destiny and we didn't meet Destruction and we haven't met the prodigal son. But I'm hoping that they get I'm hoping they get a season 2 because I really did enjoy the series. Like, it's been a minute since Netflix has released something and I've enjoyed watching it, other than it being the Umbrella Academy. And what's the other show? Inside Job, which, where is season 2? Where is season 2 of Inside Job? Where is it? But yeah, y'all, remember to be bravely authentic and drop down in the comments below and give me your thoughts. Deuces.